Okay, so Louis asked, it's about start contacting lawyers. CPCs are high. It's a challenge and he welcomes that. Great. And he says, in one of my videos, I think you talked about going for the search terms that don't have a lot of impressions per month, but will generate clients. Once you're profitable with those, start moving upwards and going for the more competitive terms. Let me try and unravel all that. I don't go for search terms that don't have a lot of impressions. I go for at the beginning. I start by trying to generate sales. So I agree. I start by trying to generate clients. Those search terms may or may not have a lot of impressions per month. So if somebody's looking for a lawyer in Chicago, then that could generate clients. But a search term where it's a bit more specific, like immigration lawyers in Chicago, or maybe there's an area in Chicago that's smaller than Chicago, a suburb, immigration lawyers in that suburb, or lawyers in that suburb, then those could be more likely to generate clients than just lawyers Chicago. And they are likely to have a lower search volume than lawyers Chicago. So that's where I think you're thinking that I'm going for ones that have lower impressions, but I'm not. I'm going for the ones that are more likely to generate clients. You might have people typing in very specific search terms that have very few impressions per month, but they've just got no chance of generating a client. Okay, so maybe it's like free lawyers in Chicago. Maybe hardly anyone types that in, but it's not going to generate a client. So it's not that I'm going for search terms that have less impressions. I'm going for the ones that I think are more likely to generate a client, which means they're more likely to have been, they're further down the sort of the online buying cycle, or the search journey, the path to purchase, whatever you want to call it, where they've searched for lawyers Chicago, got swamped with like ads, and then they realized, actually, I want an immigration lawyer in Chicago. Had a look at some of those and went, I wonder if there's one really close to me, immigration lawyers near me, or immigration lawyers and their suburb. I try and start with those and then move backwards to try and get profitable with those, and then try and get profitable to maybe finally with the one that is lawyers Chicago. Now, once you're profitable with those, start moving upwards and going for the more competitive terms. It's not that those other terms like lawyers Chicago is more competitive than immigration lawyers Chicago. It's that it's more generic. It might be that immigration lawyers Chicago is more competitive than lawyers Chicago. Could well be. So it's not that the other ones are more competitive. It could well be that the ones that are more specific are more competitive. Depends how good the competition is in the area that you're trying to target. Everyone may be just bidding on lawyers Chicago in Broadmatch or something, and they might all be ignoring immigration lawyers suburb in Chicago, in which case, yes, then you've gone for that long tail search and it's less competitive. But it might be that everybody's very good and they're all bidding on those really hyper targeted, more likely to convert search terms in the first place. Does that make sense? So if I was to approach this, so if I had a lawyer in Chicago come to me, actually let's say Dublin, because I know suburbs in Dublin. First thing I'd do is ask, well, what types of law do you do? Immigration law, criminal law, family law. There's all sorts. There's intellectual property, lawyers who specialise in that. Problem is there's not many people searching for that. But, if that's something you do, you want to know, you want to bid on it. Then I'd find out, well, what areas do you cover in Dublin? Is it only certain areas in Dublin, or do you cover the whole of, and they might say, well, cover the whole of Dublin. Okay, that's great. That means you cover all 96 suburbs or whatever. I can get a list of suburbs. So I'm going to bid on each of the types of lawyers and each location. So immigration lawyer, and then let's say 100 suburbs. Then it'll be family lawyer, 100 suburbs. Divorce lawyer, 100 suburbs. Okay, and then it's not just lawyer. Some in the UK and Ireland, they use the word solicitors as well. So immigration solicitors in all those locations. Divorce solicitors, all those locations. Family solicitors, all those locations. Then we'd do probably attorneys. Not many people use the word attorneys in UK and Ireland, but some do. So might as well load those up. So that's how I would attack it. I personally would go really long tail on it and try and build out quite a lot of keywords and ads, or go into a dynamic landing page where the headline matches what's in the ad, and I'd have a low budget and just see where all the volume is. What is everybody looking for this month? Come January, there's going to be unfortunately, a lot of divorce lawyers, family lawyers, people searching for stuff like that, because people stay together over the Christmas to try and have a good Christmas for the kids, and then sometimes the inevitable happens, unfortunately. So I personally would load up hundreds or thousands of keywords, have a low budget, $10 a day, $5 a day even, knowing that potentially Google could take more than twice. I would have a low bid price potentially across everything. If I wasn't getting any search volume or impressions, I may consider increasing the bids. I'd just literally double them. All right, $1 to $2, $2 to $4 until I start getting impressions. And I'll use the ad preview tool as well to type in just to check to find out what's going on. I'll type in the keywords or some of the search terms that I should appear for into the ad preview tool and see what the diagnostics tell me. It could tell me that my ad rank's too low, in which case I keep pushing bids until I start appearing. And it could well be that after a while, if your ads are running, that you can then start dropping your bids, because there's an auction going on where other advertisers are in the auction and you're trying to force your way in. You're saying, Google, I'm here, let me into the auction. So you squeeze your way in. Once you're there, once you prove it, you can get a better click-through rate than everyone else at the same ad position. Then you can start owning a position on the page. Not that I really think of it that way, because Google moves you about. They split test constantly where you are. And then if you've got like 1,000 keywords and 1,000 ads loaded up, then some for the same bid price, the same $2 bid price, some are going to be in higher ad position than others. So you'll start to find out where you can get the volume. So that's how I would approach that, especially for lawyers, which is long tail. Of the long tail is like people search for not just lawyers, but types of lawyers, and then they don't just search for lawyers near me, or they put locations as well. So you've got a long tail. So I'd like to start long tail, because that's what other people aren't doing, and that's my competitive advantage. All right, hope that helps.